Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to dive into one of the most fascinating and, let's be honest, controversial social structures ever created. We're talking about ancient India. All right, let me ask you something. Just think about this for a second. What if your whole life, your job, who your friends are, even who you're allowed to marry, what if all of that was decided for you before you could even walk or talk, the moment you were born? Well, for literally millions of people in ancient India, that wasn't some weird thought experiment. That was reality. We're talking about an unbreakable social order, a system that organized an entire civilization into this really clear, really rigid hierarchy that lasted for centuries on end. And here's the thing. This whole structure wasn't just some random accident. Nope. At its core, there was this incredibly powerful blueprint, a kind of intentional design that spelled out exactly where everyone fit in. So, what did this grand blueprint actually look like? Let's get into it. Okay, so this blueprint, this theoretical foundation, it's known as the Varnas. And you can really think of them as the main pillars holding up the entire system. So the idea, at least in the ancient texts, was to create a society divided up into 4 neat parts, and each part had its own unique job to do. And the best way to picture this is as a pyramid. Right at the very top, you've got the Brahmins. These are your priests, your scholars, the thinkers. Just below them, you have the Kshatriyas, the warriors and rulers, basically the protectors of society. Then come the Vaishyas, who were the merchants and landowners, the ones really driving the economy. And finally, at the bottom, forming the foundation of it all, were the Shudras, the laborers and service providers who made everything else possible. So as you can see, this wasn't just about who was on top. In theory, it was all about function. Everyone had a specific role, a societal duty. The Brahmins were the spiritual and intellectual leaders. The Kshatriyas were the administrators, the protectors. The Vaishyas, they were all about commerce and agriculture. And the Shudras provided the manual labor that society needed to run. The idea was that each group was a crucial piece of this giant, perfectly balanced machine. But you gotta wonder, right? What held this all together? I mean, what made people accept this kind of super rigid structure for so long? Well, the answer lies in one incredibly powerful idea: dharma. Now, dharma is a huge, deep concept, but let's boil it down. At its core, it's all about your sacred duty. The belief was if you did your job, the job you were born into, you weren't just, earning a living. No, you were literally helping to maintain the balance of the entire cosmos. It was this massive personal responsibility, but with truly cosmic stakes. This really says it all, doesn't it? To follow one's duty is to uphold the order of the cosmos. Just think about that for a second. Can you imagine the kind of pressure, but also the deep sense of purpose that comes from believing that your everyday actions have a direct line to the stability of the entire universe? That's powerful stuff. Okay, so we've got this nice, clean, 4-part theory, the Varnas. But life is never that simple, is it? The reality on the ground was way more complex. And that's where we have to talk about another key idea: the difference between Varna, the theory, and something called Jati, the reality. So here's the best way to think about it. Varna is the big overarching blueprint. It's the 4 main folders in the filing cabinet. But Jati, that's the thousands upon thousands of individual files inside those folders. The Jati were the actual communities people were born into, often defined by a very specific family job, passed down through generations. And I'm not kidding when I say thousands. We're talking more than 3,000 of these groups. 3,000. And the reason it's so complex is that each Jati was often tied to a super specific job. We're not just talking weaver. We're talking weaver of this one particular kind of silk, or potter from this specific village. It just shows you how incredibly detailed and granular this system really was in everyday life. So let's bring this down to a personal level. What did all this actually mean for an average person living back then? How did this tangled web of Varna and Jati shape what you did every single day? Well, these rules were everywhere. They were basically the operating system for your life. For starters, your job, that was pretty much set in stone by your Jati, passed down from generation to generation. Who you could marry? Oh yeah, there were strict rules about that too. You almost always had to marry someone from your own Jati. And it got down to things like who you could even sit down and eat with. It wasn't just part of life, it was life. A totally all-encompassing system. So let's just recap what we've got here. It's really a system built on 3 layers. You've got the Varna system, that's the big theoretical blueprint. Then you have dharma, that's the powerful moral glue that justifies the whole thing. And finally, you have the thousands of jatis, and that's the messy, complex, everyday reality of how it all played out. And that really brings us to the big takeaway here. It's easy to look at this as just ancient history, but the echoes of these kinds of social blueprints, they don't just disappear. Which leads to the real question, doesn't it? How do these ancient ways of organizing society continue to ripple through time, still shaping politics, culture, and even how we see ourselves today? That's something to really chew on. Thanks for tuning in.